You are giving me $10 million.
Let's go. Who's gonna give you $10 million?
Jayceon motherfucker Taylor,
also known as
The Game.
Let's go.
It's giving me $10 million.
Lawbreeze and Gentlegrams, the gavel grazed the gravel, and the game got tossed like a paddle. Loss of a lawsuit landed the lyricist laundering $7.1 million to a lady from his game show. An absolute flamethrower, making his bank low, and we might possibly watch the game go straight broke. So let's unpack this deranged show, see why the game lost his great home, and I'll make known all the facts of the game giving away his play dough. Get it? The game? Play, though. Alright, enough of the rhymes, but drop a like and subscribe. Now, Lawbreeze and Gentlegrams, this is an interesting case. Man, have you guys been keeping up with the game over the last few years? I might have to do a whole separate video on all the game shenanigans because there's been a laundry list of them, really since the beginning of his career, but they keep getting amplified. Each year the game gets older. I mean, if you guys remember last year, he wasn't invited to the Pop-Out event, right? The biggest West Coast hip-hop event in ages. For a West Coast icon to not be invited to an event like that speaks volumes to the actions game has presented over the last few years and how they have landed him in not the best of graces by LA's most legendary faces.
Too much 50 Cent, not enough West Coast rap. 50 Cent. JC. I said JC. You old I was just dug up.
When have you ever heard an Eminem song in the club? I don't hear Eminem in the streets. I'm just a better rapper.
Then, of course, he went on a 17-minute rant on Instagram Live to justify why he wasn't invited or wasn't at the pop-out. You guys want to see a little clip of that? All right, maybe I'll throw it in here. Or maybe I won't.
And I've been in this motherfucker since 2003, right? Because that's when I got signed to Aftermath, 2003. If you ask anybody, you know, anybody that really know me that's in this motherfucker industry, and go ask Dr. Dre, man. Like, sit Dr. Dre down and really ask that about who I am and my character and, you know, like what he really feel about me at the end of the day as a man. So if you could ask Nip himself, he would have told you, and he did tell you out his own mouth what, you know, I contributed, you know, to his career. Coming straight out of West Side, Cedar Block, Bompton, and Top Dog know what it is, Kendrick know what it is, Mustard know what it is, Ty Dolla $ign know what it is, Dr. Dre know what it is, Snoop know what it is.
And maybe you remember, years before this, he was dissing legends like Eminem and Dr. Dre, concocting 8-minute songs where you couldn't tell if he was paying homage to Eminem or trying to completely dismantle him, then saying in interviews that Kanye West did more for him and his career in 2 weeks than Dr. Dre ever did in his lifetime. Keep in mind, Dr. Dre was the one who initially signed the game, and lately Kanye West has been his sugar daddy, buying him chrome Maybachs and anti-Semitic mustache man sweatshirts. You might be wondering, with all these antics, where is the game's actual music, right? Like, if he's doing so much to make sure he is always being discussed on social media, whether good or bad, you'd think he'd have a product to promote, right? Well, there might be a deeper reason why the game has not been releasing music recently. As a matter of fact, there might be a deeper reason why Kanye is the one buying the game Maybachs instead of the game buying them for himself. As a matter of fact, the game might be homeless. That might be an exaggeration. I hope it is. I grew up on the game's music, and I really wish he stayed off the internet and maybe stayed in court, because if he did actually make an appearance in court, he might have not been forced to give up his home in Calabasas, which is valued at over $4 million. That's right, he's not selling it. He is forced by the court to give it up. So let's go through and unpack what the hell is going on with the game, why he might be forced to sell his home, where he will go next, how we got here, and how this all could have easily been avoided. So chapter 1, She's Got Game. In August of 2015, a brand new show premiered on VH1 titled She's Got Game. The show was a game dating show centered around the game, where his friends in the industry brought forth contestants who would fight for the game's love. It was kind of like The Bachelor meets Love and Hip Hop.
I lost the best thing that ever happened to me, but now I think I'm ready to find that special someone. And I'm gonna give her 100% of everything that I got.
Game is looking for love.
You're gonna step into my life and take this journey.
And he's bringing 10 lucky ladies along for the ride. She's That Game. New series premieres Monday, August 10th at 9.
And if you thought this was ridiculous, so did I, but at least this game show kind of depicted Game in the driver's seat. The last game show the Game was on was before he was the Game. He was known as JT. They probably should have called him SB instead for Sad Boy, because boy is this sad.
I want to be with my girl all day, every day.
I can't be with him 24/7. I'm sorry.
Sadida couldn't keep a promise if her life depended on it.
So what?
I can't get no loving in public.
No affection.
No holding
Because it
hands,
seems
no
like you
kiss,
always
no...
gotta.
But now let's take it to 2015, where the Game has a little bit more confidence, maybe too much confidence, and he's no longer fighting his woman to be a better girlfriend. Instead, women are fighting each other to be his girlfriend. And one of these women, one of the contestants on his game show, went by the name Priscilla Rainey. Now, remember this name, because the Game was about to make it rainy all over her bank account very shortly. Priscilla Rainey has a reign over the Game's assets. Now, it's funny how she was depicted on the show to begin with, right? She would go on later to say that this entire thing was scripted. She had even been in a relationship that was on pause, a 7-year relationship, when she went on this show to pretend to fight over the Game's love. But it's ironic how things turned out, because on this show, she was depicted by the Game and by the other contestants as the quote-unquote fire starter.
What about you, fire starter? You good?
I'm good. No fire started today. So it sounds to me like they're trying to trash me in front of JCon to make me look like a fire starter. You know what? Let's go.
As with any reality TV show, of course, there's a bunch of useless pent-up drama, and the Game is right in the middle of it, trying to figure out which one of these lovely actresses will he decide to make his fake girlfriend by the time the TV show ends. He didn't end up going with Priscilla, but you could see that out of all the contestants, she was definitely one of the more drama-filled characters, to say the least.
It seems like the whole mess, the fight, is Priscilla's fault. And that ain't really sitting well with me.
You got some girls who
Want me to go home, of course.
want you to go home.
I can't believe everyone's making such a big deal about me cussing out Sierra. She deserved it.
And this quote alone kind of foreshadows everything that the Game would go through for the next 10 years.
I really like Priscilla, but something just don't feel right.
Now, while the drama and fighting, the conflict and the fire starting might have all been fake for the sake of the reality TV show, what most definitely was not fake were the allegations made against Jayceon Taylor, aka The Game, after this game show had concluded. See, Priscilla was not chosen to be the winner of the Battle of Game's Heart. Whatever this game show was about, Priscilla lost. But what she lost on television, she made up for in trial. Instead of paraphrasing, I want to quote specifically what is in Priscilla Rainey's lawsuit against the Game, detailing the sequence of events that she is now suing for. And keep in mind, when I say I want to quote directly, if there's anything that YouTube will not allow here, I'm going to censor it with a different choice of wording. Now, while filming in Chicago in 2015, the Game took contestant Priscilla Rainey on an off-camera date at a suburban sports bar. There, the Game assaulted her by repeatedly lifting up her skirt, grabbing her bare buttocks and her privates, and juggling her chest in front of a large crowd of onlookers. At one point during the evening at the sports bar, they were on an elevated stage in full view of clubgoers. With the stage light shining on them, Taylor lifted Rainey's skirt and grabbed her bare buttocks and privates. She tried to break away, but he did it again, this time lifting her rear end up and exposing her intimate parts to the gawking crowd. As Rainey struggled to push him away and lowered her skirt, he grabbed her bare intimate parts a third time. He also grabbed and juggled her chest for the entertainment of the onlookers. 3 days later, Rainey confronted the Game about the assault. The two were on the show's tour bus with other cast members, and a film crew caught the entire exchange on camera. The video begins with another contestant announcing that Rainey had a secret date with the Game, which would be cheating for the game show, and that contestant returned to the hotel visibly upset. Rainey responded that she told the crew about it, but no one else. The Game then reminded her that he had instructed her not to mention it to anybody, and quote-unquote, don't mention it means don't mention it. A heated argument ensued. Rainey repeatedly tried to tell him that she had a problem with what had happened and was bothered by it. The Game angrily commanded her to keep quiet. What you can do is be a woman and shut up. Like, you can shut up right now. She did not shut up. Instead, she described the assault in graphic detail. After an expletive-laden exchange, the game ordered her to get off this bus before you get your butt strangled and then threatened to choke her up. In August 2015, just before the show's debut, Rainey sued the game for battery in federal court in Chicago. The game repeatedly evaded service and otherwise tried to obstruct and delay the litigation. 5 process servers across 3 states made multiple attempts to serve him with the complaint and summons. One process server alone made 41 unsuccessful attempts to serve the game at his California home. The district judge authorized alternative service. In the meantime, the suit was widely reported in the press and generated lots of chatter on social media. A magistrate judge set a settlement conference for June 16th, 2016 and ordered Rainey and the game to appear in person. On June 2nd, the game moved to reschedule the settlement conference, feigning concern for his safety based on Chicago's firearm violence problem. Because again, don't forget, this case is taking place in Chicago, so the game felt unsafe essentially to travel to Chicago to go to court. At least this is what he told the judge. This past Memorial Day weekend, sadly, almost 70 people were hit with a firearm in the city of Chicago. Due to high volume of violence and likelihood of reprisals due to such violence, the defendant has grave concerns for his safety and for those who assist him during his travels due to his celebrity status. Don't forget, around this same time, possibly beforehand, the game had, for seemingly no reason at all, jumped into a rap beef with Chicago rapper Lil Durk. Now, because the game kept dodging court, never responded to the lawsuit, and instead denied all allegations, which we will touch on shortly, while Priscilla was demanding $10 million in damages within the lawsuit, she wasn't exactly granted the full 10, but the judge did rule against the game by default, because he never even responded to the thing to begin with. In response, Game got on Instagram and concocted a very long-winded, hate-fueled rant against Priscilla, and if he spent half this amount of time conjuring up his case in court, he might not be homeless today. But let's go through what he had to say. The game starts off. Let's get one thing very clear. That thirsty Gatorade mascot of a transvestite will never see $10 million or anything close to a penny of my money. Now keep in mind, this post was made in 2016. This is how the game felt after the judge did not rule in his favor initially. People think they read a headline in bold print that it's true. She won a judgment of $10 million, and that means that a judge, because I'm overseas, has given this chicken a chance to maybe be able to afford a lifetime supply of lace front hair glue if my lawyers don't respond to this suit by the 26th of this month, which they will do tomorrow morning. Soon as I'm home, me and my lawyers will eat this case like a box of Minion Twinkies on sale at Walmart. VH1 has a separate suit filed against them by this thought bot that they will also win because, number one, this biatch, Snoop Dogg's voice, is a liar. She has a history of theft, fraud, PR, prostitution, arrests, and a lot of other TR Annie Panny activities in her past that makes this false claim irrelevant. Don't be fooled by these accusations or the dollar amount in the headlines, because I put that on all my favorite aunties. Poodle, this broad ain't getting nothing. Every girl on that show will tell you I never touched this chick or ever desired to be anywhere near her. She got kicked off the show, and as a result, she filed this lame lawsuit, which was probably her intentions before the show was ever started. She was begging for my attention the entire time we shot the show and was given the ultimate Major League Baseball curveball, so that upset her and made her a little wee hard, so she did what all chicks like her do when life gives them no other options. They sue you. This is really a crying shame, so at this point I will use the crying shame emoji. See you in court, Mr. Rainey. And I say Mr. because your mustache is probably a bit longer than it was during taping, being that it's about to be spring, and that's usually when mine is at its healthiest. Now, it's quite funny to me that the game goes on to call her Mr. and TR Ann's Vestite and saying she has a mustache, but again, this is the same girl that was on his dating show who he moved forward in the rounds and genuinely considered wifing up, at least for the sake of the show. Now, while the game is out there defending his innocence, Priscilla Rainey is doing the press conference rounds as well, appearing on Power 105 to claim that the entire show was fabricated, fake. They knew beforehand, before even taping it, that this was a concocted, fictional attempt at recreating The Bachelor show. Also claiming she was engaged to a man who she had been on again, off again with for 7 years and took a break to go record this show with the game. And of all places she could have gone, ironically, she went to thisis50.com for a sit-down, but really a stand-up interview, because she was standing up, and revealed a little bit of her thoughts on the entire situation and gave us some detail on what really went down in her eyes.
Let's clear that up now. I'm not screaming rape. He did not rape me. But what he did do is touch 3 times and told me shut the up before I eliminate you, and then pulled my up in front of a crowd of people in Chicago at a club with the lights on and people taking pictures. To the point that 3 cameramen walked off set and quit because they got daughters and wives at home, and they said he's a piece of...
Now, these are some horrible allegations, and the craziest part is that the game did not take them seriously in the slightest. Again, he evaded court, he evaded this lawsuit, treating it like it was unquestionable that he would ever be found guilty. And by November 14th, the case went to trial and a jury began hearing both parties' testimony, finally ruling in Priscilla's favor. In a response, the game attempted to sue Viacom, the TV network that hosted the TV show, stating that the show's producers casted Rainey, the woman who sued and then won against the game, despite a doctor's recommendation to exclude her from the program. The doctor reportedly cited Rainey's past arrests, including those for aggravated battery, as a reason for her not being mentally stable enough to be a participant of the show. And for those reasons, the game thought he was entitled to $20 million from Viacom, which included the payment he had been ordered to make against Rainey, as well as an additional $13 million in damages. So essentially, the judge of this case had forced the game to pay Rainey $7.1 million, primarily because he neglected the case to begin with. Now you gotta think, even if you're a rich rapper, right? I'm not saying the game is rich or broke, but $7.1 million to pay that out, especially if he's a resident of California, where I believe the tax rate is around 50%, that means it would take him making $14 million just to pay her back. Now think about this, right? This was in 2016. How many projects have we seen the game release since then? How many business ventures have we seen him a part of? How many tours have we seen him on? Maybe I'm not following close enough, but I believe 2016 was when we really saw the game's career kind of slow down, right? 2015, we got the documentary 2. That's the last successful project I believe we've even gotten from the game, from a commercial standpoint. You gotta think, unless he has some very serious investments or saved up a lot of cash, his professional and financial endeavors after 2016, when he was forced to pay this woman $7.13 million, did not seem fruitful enough to generate that amount of money in a short period of time. By 2018, the game had requested and been denied a new trial in this assault case, with the judge slamming the game for failing to show up to the trial before, claiming that his actions towards Rainey were deeply reprehensible. With the denial of a new trial and him being forced to pay $7.1 million, the judge had forced the game to hand over financial documents to essentially prove or explain why he hasn't been able to cough up the $7.1 million settlement. Priscilla Rainey had filed documents demanding the game turn over his assets and be held in civil contempt for not paying her the $7.13 million. She says she's been working with third-party investigators and has proof that the game is hiding millions of dollars of income through different entities that he controls. Because of this, she wants him to speak under oath in court. The game obviously denied the accusations. Priscilla continuously files requests to audit the game's financial records. The game loses his $20 million lawsuit against Viacom. Viacom demands that the game cover their legal fees after bringing them to court for that $20 million lawsuit. Priscilla asked the judge to punish the game for dodging the subpoena that she sent in order to find out how much money he has so she can finally collect her settlement. She said that she subpoenaed the rapper's company, Trees by Game LLC, to gain more information on his assets. However, she said that the company ignored her, hasn't turned over any of the documents she requested. The game's weed company had to lose profits to pay off the $7 million debt. And it got to a point where the game was facing arrest, facing jail time, because he failed to declare his intentions to produce the 7-figure settlement sum that was required of him. An arrest warrant for the game was issued, but quickly dropped after the game's legal team finally handed over the financial documents that were asked from him for weeks. And just a couple weeks after they got these financial documents, in my opinion, one of the craziest financial turn of events in hip-hop history occurs, as the judge seizes the game's record label and the royalties to his upcoming album, Born to Rap. In an attempt to collect her $7 million judgment against the game, Priscilla took control of the game's entire independent record label, LA Prolific. She was granted any and all rights, title, and interest in any money, property, or future payments due to the record label, which was set up to release the game's album, Born to Rap, which at the time he had been promoting as his magnum opus and his final album ever. Now we could see why he was building up so much anticipation for that album. Rainey had become the owner of the album Born to Rap, the royalties from the record, and even any salary that the game may have been paying himself through his record label LA Prolific. All third parties who receive notice of this order are directed to pay any and all money or property due or to become due under this order directly to plaintiff, either one by check payable to Priscilla Rainey and delivered to plaintiff's counsel until the judgment is satisfied in full, the judge had stated. Essentially, to eliminate the legal jargon here, what that means is all payments from the album, from the record label, from the game himself, go right as a check to Priscilla Rainey. Now, let's just break this down for a second, right? You host a game show where you're looking for love. One of your contestants, who you bring farther and farther along in the rounds, you end up assaulting her, she ends up suing you, you don't show up to court, she wins $7 million against you, you run off with your money, she ends up owning the masters to your record label and to your album. And the album sells so low, and all your future albums also don't sell enough to generate enough money to pay back the full amount that you owe this woman, to the point where now your house is being forced for sale in order to pay her back. And this is all because you did not show up to court for a lawsuit that you thought was BS. And this is a crazy part too. You guys know Wack 100, right? This is the game's manager. Obviously now he's a public figure who's constantly on stream with Adam 22, the skinny Akademiks, and DJ BJ Big Mac Akademiks himself. So Wack 100, the game's manager, had actually been accused by Priscilla for hiding money for the game to make it seem like he's broke and cannot cough up the dough to pay her. In some documents, Rainey's lawyer had claimed that Wack 100 and the game have both been doing anything they could in order to avoid paying back the judgment. Post-judgment discovery has revealed that the game owns almost no assets under his own name, but assigns his interest to receive revenue to his manager, his manager's company, and other game-owned holding companies. Priscilla's lawyer had also accused the game of transferring his home to Wack 100 as a gift because the conveyance was a bona fide gift and the grantor received nothing in return. The game was adamant that he would not be paying Priscilla a penny. He actually had posted on Instagram in 2020 saying, "And my guy's working a regular job and driving a cool little whip is still cool AF to me. Stop letting the social media stuff F y'all heads up." The Instagram account The Neighborhood Talk had reposted this message with the caption that read, "The game with a message, but has he paid that $7 million yet?" And the game commented, of course, in classic game fashion, can't miss out on the action or the attention. He said, "Nope, and he ain't," implying he will not be paying back this $7 million settlement, even though he's already had arrest warrants issued out for him, his royalties seized and now being paid to this woman, and is allegedly hiding all his assets under Wack 100's name. In 2022, the game collaborated with Kanye. It was rumored that Priscilla would be taking all the profits for that song. Again, remember, she now owns Game's record label and all the profits that it collects until she's paid back her full $7 million. It got to a point where Priscilla in 2024 had allegedly subpoenaed the Game's kids' school in an attempt to get her $7 million. She wanted proof of residence and attendance. She seized his publishing and his label. And by August of 2024, the game had allegedly gotten served by a private investigator to essentially be subpoenaed to court. I believe this is how it works. I'm a Canadian, so I don't really know how the US legal system works, but I believe what it is if someone hands you a paper that you've been summoned in a lawsuit to appear in court, you're the defendant, you're now forced to go because you've been made aware that you're being sued, right? That's why she went to the kids' high school, I believe, to make sure, the game actually lives within that district. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments. Again, don't know fully how the legal system works here. Doing my best. Around that same time, we hear news that Priscilla had planned to seize the rapper's Calabasas home as part of her asset collection that was approved by the court. This chick is really collecting the game's assets like Pokemon. And I'm not saying she's wrong, right? Like, if he assaulted her, he's got to pay up. It's just insane the elaborative measures he would take to dodge this thing instead of facing it like a man at the beginning and probably walking away with much less of a fee to pay. After he was hit from that private investigator with a subpoena, he was scheduled to appear in court on October 7th, 2024 to argue against the possible seizure of his home. However, in typical game fashion, of course, he failed to appear in court on that date. he continued fighting against the potential seizure of his home by asking the court to dismiss the order for sale of dwelling and order the marshal to release the levy. The game denied being personally served paperwork about the potential home seizure at all. Meanwhile, Priscilla is accusing the game of transferring his home's deed to WAC 100 to prevent it from being seized. In the meantime, the game does interviews where he emphasizes that he's absolutely broke. Everything he owns is either rented or not in his name, and he has not a penny to cough up to the lady who has been chasing him now for almost a decade.
Well, speaking of money, the whole lawsuit situation that you got hit with, that still hasn't gotten worked out.
Yeah, probably won't ever. I'm broke. I don't have a dime.
By February of 2025, the game continues fighting in court that Priscilla should not be able to seize his home. By that period of time, Priscilla had actually gained around $500,000 in revenue from his record label, LA Prolific, which she does again have the ownerships to his album Born to Rap, amongst other projects and publishing royalties. The game actually took the time to get some lawyers to speak with the judge at this point, and they insisted that the game does have legal rights to his home, asserting that he has lived there continuously. They argue that his residency status should grant him protection under homestead laws. Meanwhile, Priscilla, on the other hand, accuses the game of hiding all his assets, including the home, through either WAC 100 or through shell companies and financial schemes, making any assets under its name, under the company's name, fair game for collection. And by May of 2025, the game officially loses his Calabasas home. According to All Hip Hop, a judge had ordered its sale to help cover the $7.13 million judgment owed to Priscilla Rainey. After Rainey fought a long battle trying to get Game to give up this home for quite some time, she had calculated that the house should be worth around $3.2 million, and her attorney wrote that there is no current homeowner's exemption or disabled veterans exemption for the dwelling. So you might think, how is the game, whose house is not under his name, forced to sell it, even if he does owe this debt? Well, the man who Priscilla had accused of being transferred all of the game's assets, WAC 100, did sit down with Akademiks to try and explain what is currently happening, although he kind of fails to give a clear response on whether or not the game is going to have to give up his property.
They're saying the game is losing his house to Shorty.
It's been a situation for like 10 years. What happens is, I believe the attorney or something over there got some type of vendetta against Game on the attorney beat.
From my understanding, the house isn't in the game, aka Jason Taylor's name. I get he owes a debt, but how could they force the sale of a house if it's not in his name? How does that work?
I mean, just because something's not in your name don't mean it's not tied to your name.
Now keep in mind, this isn't just the game giving up his property, right? Let's say the house can sell for around 3.2, like Priscilla had estimated. He's still going to owe her around $3 million. It's going to make it very difficult to buy a home in the future, to own any assets. Also knowing that any future music he puts out, she basically takes all the profits of it until she gets her $7 million payout, leaving Game in his career and in his personal life almost in a place of stagnation, right? You can't really grow and build when someone has a complete chokehold of your assets. And it's crazy to think all of this could have been avoided if he simply showed up to court. But let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next one.